Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
How good does it get?
Golf has long been considered to be sport's most prestigious game, and WOCA has your connection to everything in the golf world. Every first and third Thursday at 10 a.m., tune in for Let's Talk Golf with your host, PGA professional and teacher to the stars, Jim Beckett, and operations manager for the Links of Spruce Creek South, Darren Irwin, right here on The Source.
All right, thank you very much. Robin, when a lot of people walk past the window, and once in a while somebody will come in and they'll chat with one of us and say, hey, I want a job in radio. How do you get into radio? And I always will say, if they're asking me, well, you have to apply.
Yeah.
It's not really exactly true, because what happens in most radio stations is that the person doing the hiring is going to ask, do you have experience? So there's a real catch-22 in this business.
Yeah.
And there is a secret to getting past that catch-22. And so you can't work unless you've worked. That's the catch-22, because unless you can, how do you work if you haven't worked? You know, it's kind of that thing. In this business, you can take the job least likely to be wanted, which is the guy who works overnight simply pushing commercials into programs or something like that. And then there's maybe even a better way. It's to be an intern or to volunteer. And that message perhaps is bigger than just this radio business. It might be true for many, many different areas. Richard B. Alman is on the phone. He is the Principal and Chief Career Employment Strategist at RecruiterNetworks.com. And he's going to talk about unemployment and perhaps, I think, unless I misunderstood my notes, going to give you some advice as to how to perhaps also overcome the catch-22 of whatever job you're looking for. Richard Alman, good morning, Richard.
Good morning. How are you?
Pretty good. Where are you right now?
I'm located in Miami, a little bit south of you.
All right. How's it in Miami? Must be hot. It's hot here.
It's hot. It's hot. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes you hope for the winter to come back where it can at least, go down to the 70s again.
Yeah, right. I know. We pray for the summer in the winter and vice versa.
Exactly.
Are you a snowbird? No, you wouldn't be a snowbird if you're there now. So.
Well, I was actually born in Miami, but I did spend 10 years in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it was great being in the winter, and it convinced me that I don't want to live there.
See, Miami's the only city in the South that has a northern accent.
Yeah.
Or a Spanish accent.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got like a Northeast accent. I can't place it exactly, but.
Yeah, I was born in Miami, but I've kind of been around, and when you're in Miami, our first language is Spanish, and then if you don't know Spanish, we revert to English instead of the other way around.
Yeah, right,
so
right.
you kind of check your passport and make sure you're ready to roll. But, it's all good, Listen, that's what the world's made up now of is adjustments, and that's one of the main premises of what I wanted to speak about this morning. A lot of people. Obviously, it's our job with 1,000 cities that we serve with RecruiterNetworks.com. I know you're principally serving Ocala and Gainesville, and we have a city-specific one of our 1,000. We have Gainesville Recruiter.com, Ocala Recruiter.com.
Really?
And specifically are for jobs and people looking to hire. And we're geo-specific. We're the only geo-specific job board on the planet, and that's my job, is to not just make it easier for the employers and potential employees to find each other, kind of like eHarmony, but to get my message out to people who are not at the level where they can call up an Ivy League contact or they can hire a professional career counselor and say, how do you get by what you're not even sure what the issue is? And really, it's a tremendous thing that I'm doing. I've got a book going now that I'm going to be I'm in the midst of doing, and I'll be putting it out to market in the next couple of months. But essentially, my main message is most resumes and most applications that get looked at or get sent into by people who are desperate to find a job, any job, if you're not working, most of the time, the open secret is they don't even consider your resume or your application.
Isn't that crazy?
Because
Yeah.
erroneously, and it's really sad, the people that their job is to look at these applications and resumes, they believe wrongly that if you're not employed, that's because you're not the best. That companies that let go of people, let go of the people that weren't the greatest. The best people are working, therefore they're not going to look at somebody who's unemployed. So the question is, if you don't even know that that issue exists and you're desperate to find a job, how do you get around that issue? Well, the first thing is to hear somebody like me explaining that is a probability of the situation with almost anybody who's gone a long time is putting in the effort to apply and still is not landing interviews and or job offers. So the answer is, well, now that you know that that's a potential predicament, what can an individual do? And my answer is, in every city, there's great organizations such as United Way, Red Cross, Salvation Army, various cancer organizations, really good organizations. And you can go into those organizations, and I would walk right in and I would say, I'm here, I want to be a professional volunteer. And when you do that, you also want to try and align whatever your volunteering department or responsibilities are as closely as possible to what you seek in the job market.
Okay.
If you're somebody in advertising, you want to try to get in their advertising side. If you're somebody who's in sales, try to get in something that's got to do with sales. The reason being, you'll feel more comfortable. Secondly, you will be able to now put on your resume that you'll be continuing to send out because you're still looking for real payable employment, is that I am now professionally volunteering at the United Way in their finance office. I'm working as a volunteer as a bookkeeper, or in their marketing department as marketing. Now the person receiving that resume or application is going to say, wow, this person's not lazy. They're out trying. And by the way, these are the organizations that many of the local businesses in the community are working with anyway. So they have a very soft spot when they hear somebody's doing this type of work. They're going to say, wow, United Way, that's one of our organizations that we support as a company. And that helps to get over the
that's a great strategy.
obstacle.
I love what you've just said. Can I interject a question real quickly?
Sure you can.
Now, you've said something I didn't expect you to say. You said professional volunteer, which would clearly be obviously different than an intern. This is a person who's got some skills. So let's say I'm professionally volunteering for whatever I'm good at, and now I'm sending out resumes to be hired to do that same thing. Wouldn't the person who has me there volunteering be worried that I'm going to leave? And therefore, wouldn't they be a potential employer?
You know, it's a very interesting concept. And all I can say is the person that you're working for at whatever organization, you're going to explain to them, look, I'm here to help you. Listen, I learned my family goes way back to University of Pennsylvania, founded by Ben Franklin. And I love one of his greatest sayings is do well by doing good. And what you can say to the people at the organization, your immediate boss, supervisor, look, I'm here, I want to volunteer, but I'm also looking for permanent payable work, and I would love at some point if you would be a reference. So when I do go for that application or employment interview or something, then I might use you as a reference. And by the way, Mr. Supervisor at United Way or Cancer Society, I would like to still intend to volunteer. Whatever happens with the job that I might land, I'll still have some hours here and there that I want to continue doing it because I believe in it. And that is a really good thing because people feel good about somebody who wants to do that. And it's an amazing opportunity because many of these companies are involved with these organizations, and you might very well be meeting company representatives in your job as you're volunteering that might say, you know what, you're looking for a permanent job, my company's going to hire. Before we put the ad in, why don't you come in and see me?
Will that be the same to people that have worked over the years at temporary jobs?
Absolutely. any job is a better bridge to get you into your next opportunity. And that's why I always tell people, look, it's almost like a marriage. You might have your heart set on the prince on the horse or the beautiful princess, in the castle and so forth. But you've got to be realistic. If you hold out for that, you might be single your whole life.
That's right.
Well, finding a job is very similar. You get on the game board. Once you're on the game board, I have different strategies how to move up in that company. If you land a job you think isn't your greatest opportunity, take it anyway. You can get to better jobs from that job easier than getting to a better job from no job.
That's really a good strategy, and you know what? I don't think I've ever even thought of that before. I mean, I've always thought of the idea of taking the lowest level job in the place. But if you're already a professional and you've already established yourself, then you're not being fair to yourself.
Exactly.
I mean, it would be better, to do whatever you're really good at, because then you're actually contributing to the company in a bigger, better way than if you decide to sweep the floors.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And you know what? It goes both ways. Companies really think it's hard to find great people. Meanwhile, look at all the great people out there who truly do want to find a position. It's very odd. And that's where our website comes in. We make it simpler for recruiters and employers to meet with job seekers. And again, somebody who's in Ocala and Gainesville, they don't care about jobs in New York or California when they go on these giant websites. With us, we are your local city or town's job headquarters.
Well, we're
like the eHarmony.
Yeah, you are.
That.
All right. Well, Richard, thank you for being on the air with us. We've got less than a minute. The website you told me to go to was OcalaRecruiter.com or GainesvilleRecruiter.com. I did go there. I can tell you right off the bat, there's a job at Toys R Us. There's a job at 212 Staffing. There's a job at Edge Media, Health Career Choices. Here's the one that caught my attention, though. It's Plush Love Boutique. What do they sell there?
There you go.
What do they sell?
Well, whatever it is, it must be a happy job.
Man, I might take a part-time job, Robin.
There you go.
Richard, thank you for being on the air with us today. That was fun. How to escape the unemployment trap? Go to Recruiter Net. Am I right? RecruiterNetworks.com?
Recruiter, singular, networks, plural.com. And we serve 1,000+ cities. And once you're there, you'll find your city, and then you go direct. You go to OcalaRecruiter.com direct. You don't need to go to our general site. But thank you. I know your time is up.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. 2 weeks after the downing of Malaysia Air Flight 17.
Investigators from the Netherlands and Australia reaching the wreckage for the first time after finding a new route to the site amid fighting between Ukraine's military and pro-Russian separatists.
Fox Radio's Simon Owen.
Malaysia's Prime Minister Najib Razak.
The conflict in eastern Ukraine may not be easily resolved, but the people on board that plane had no part in it.
Russia has also sent experts to Ukraine.
On Capitol Hill, House lawmakers debating the border supplemental bill today.
With a House vote planned on a much smaller $659 million package. The president wanted to spend nearly $4 billion to deal with the influx of children crossing the border illegally.
Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland. And Grammy winner Alicia Keys announcing she's expecting baby number 2 with husband, producer, rapper Swizz Beatz. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Performance Bicycle, the nation's largest online cycling retailer, is facing record high inventory, and it must be sold. Now through this Sunday, it's the Red Tag Sale at PerformanceBike.com. Over 1,000 items on sale now. Many prices too low to advertise. Red Tag deals on helmets, clothing, parts, accessories, and hundreds of bikes, all priced to sell now. Plus, over 50 doorbusters at 50% off, but only while supplies last. Don't miss Performance Bicycle's Red Tag Sale at PerformanceBike.com.
Napa know-how!
When cologne is on sale for $3.49 a quart, you don't stock up. When scented bubble bath is on sale for $3.49 a quart, you definitely don't stock up. But now that Napa has Castrol GTX oil on sale for $3.49 a quart, you stock up your garage, your shed, maybe even your bathroom cabinets. Conquer the job with Napa know-how. General states pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees at participating Napa Auto Parts stores.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
On which day are we most likely to have a tension headache? If you guess Monday, well, you're right on. If you want to get noticed, just smile more often. People, it turns out, spot others whose teeth they're showing when they smile twice as fast as those who have closed mouths. And they don't want to go where you want to go. They don't want to do what you like to do. If that sounds familiar, focus on your other friends.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Pick up your copy of Lady Lake Magazine featuring local businesses and issues and written by local volunteers. Lady Lake Magazine has become a must-read in Marion, Lake, and Sumter counties, audited by Circulation Verification Council and serving the area for 23 years. Plus, Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. All we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 352-804-1223 and pick up your copy of Lady Lake Magazine today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Here are today's headlines from The Source, WOCA. The state attorney's office yesterday released a report indicating their decision to not file charges against 20-year-old Colt D. Threemer of Weirsdale for the shooting death of 21-year-old Thomas James Brown of Silver Spring Shores in the parking lot of a Walmart in that community on July 9th. The report cites the Stand Your Ground law and details the decision with 8 pages of information regarding the night of the incident and the escalating relationship of the two men during the previous months before the shooting. The report notes that Brown sought out Threemer and physically attacked him. Brown's father says he and his wife plan to hire an attorney to fight that decision. The Star-Banner has published a well-researched and detailed account of the story. A 68-year-old resident of the Villages arrested for having sex in one of the retirement community public squares was sentenced yesterday to 180 days in the Sumter County Jail, the same plea deal already given to her co-suspect. Dressed in a striped jail uniform with tears in her eyes and standing beside her lawyer, Margaret Peggy Clem said, quote, "I'm very sorry," unquote, when Judge Thomas Skidmore asked if she wanted to say something on her behalf to the court. Clem later waved goodbye to her husband, Frank, before being led out of the Sumter County courtroom back to jail to serve the remainder of her 180-day sentence on the indecent exposure and disorderly conduct charges stemming from the June 2nd romp, as well as the resulting probation violation. She will get credit for about 40 days already served behind bars because of no bail on the probation violation charge. According to the Sumter County Sheriff's Office, deputies received a call at about 10:30 p.m. on June 2nd about 2 people having sex at the pavilion in the Lake Sumter Landing Market Square of the Villages. When deputies arrived, Clem and 48-year-old David M. Bobilia allegedly were still having sex with their clothing partially removed. Investigators believe the couple was intoxicated at the time. The Gainesville Sun is reporting that the University of Florida expects to get a $12 million federal grant to study the medical condition sepsis. The money would be used to build a research center. UF health officials announced in a news release last week that they had been awarded a 5-year grant from the National Institutes of Health for the center, according to the report. Researchers had received notification from the NIH that the grant would be awarded September 1st. Sepsis is an often severe medical condition triggered by an overwhelming immune response to an infection, according to the National Institutes of Health. Immune chemicals released into the blood to fight the infection cause widespread inflammation, sometimes leading to failure of organs such as the kidneys or liver, plummeting blood pressure, a weakened heart, disorientation, and sometimes septic shock and even death. And finally, he named the salted fish delicacy found only in the Mediterranean as the anchovy, and he was correct. He also identified correctly the author of the words, "All Gaul is divided into 3 parts." That person, Julius Caesar. And he named the playwright who created the Norwegian manor Rosmersholm as Ibsen, and that also was correct. 17-year-old Alan Kulik, an incoming senior at Pinecrest School in Fort Lauderdale, triumphed yesterday in the semifinals of the Jeopardy! Teen Tournament. He will compete in the finals today and tomorrow. Alan racked up $20,801 in the game, presided over by legendary host Alex Trebek, as friends, family, and faculty watched the pre-recorded episode at a viewing party at the Pinecrest Student Union. Alan knew the outcome, of course, but was bound by the show's secrecy rules to keep it to himself. And those were the headlines from The Source, WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, sunshine mixing with clouds. There will be a thunderstorm around during the afternoon and evening hours as usual, the high 89 to 93. And partly cloudy overnight, low 72 to 76. Tomorrow, times of sun and clouds with a thunderstorm mainly during the afternoon and evening hours, the high tomorrow 88 to 92. And for Saturday, times of clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm, especially in the afternoon, the high 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
It's time for Farming Ranch headlines on the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tyron Spearman reporting. Chris Lutt of Golden Peanut Company outlined key issues this past week at the Southern Peanut Growers Conference at Panama City Beach. He said there are some negatives impacting peanuts, but there are other positives that will offset. He said right now the alternate nut growth is a problem, along with misconceptions about allergen. He said there's a lack of domestic blanching resources, and we're behind, along with limited alternate crop competition from cotton and corn. On the positive side, he said new varieties that are customer-friendly is a good positive. He said cost competitiveness, yield, and efficiency improvement in peanuts is also a positive. Another positive, he said, is the treatment of allergens and the progress being made thereon. He said aflatoxin testing has improved. The plant protein consumption and nut consumption around the country has increased. He said there is a shift in China